Welcome to topic 1.2, developments in Dar-al-Islam. Please make sure you're paying attention to the maps as we go through this. Maybe hit pause, check them out. The essential question in a period from circa 1200 to circa 1450, how did Islamic states arise and how did major religious systems shape society? You should be able to answer this when we're done, right? The big idea for topic 1.2, the Prophet Muhammad dies in 632. Islam spreads rapidly from Arabia. Islam's reach extended from India to Spain. Islam spread through military actions, merchants, and missionaries. It showed tolerance to two other monotheistic religions, Christianity and Judaism. And you had the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. It was a center of learning. On monotheistic religion, by the way, make sure it's like, the belief in one God. And when other people in other regions are changing religions, in this case Islam, converting to Islam, it's not always a spiritual issue. If you take Hinduism in India, right, when Islam was introduced in India, one thing that was appealing to a lot of people, there was no caste. They weren't stuck in a certain caste or like a class system, we would say here. There was an opportunity for upward mobility or maybe even equality. So that was kind of appealing to a lot of people. So there's something to keep in mind. It's not always spiritual. Okay, topic number 1, invasion and the shifts in trade routes. Trade routes are a big thing with the study of history. 1100s and 1200s, the Abbasid Empire confronted many challenges. Like the Chinese, they had conflicts with nomadic groups in Central Asia. Unlike the Chinese, they also confronted European invaders. So there's a difference, right? Similarities and differences, right? When you compare or contrast. So there's a similarity and a difference with the Chinese. Okay, subtopic A, Egyptian Mamluks. Big idea. Arabs often purchased enslaved people, or Mamluks, who were frequently ethnic Turks from Central Asia, to serve as soldiers and later as bureaucrats. So they were slaves, but they had some upward mobility here. See a map there. Developments in Dar-al-Islam. Subtopic A, Egyptian Mamluks. Please make sure you're paying attention to these maps too. Maybe hit pause, check them out. Knowing a map and knowing what it's showing you, like say if it's unlabeled, if you can just recognize it, those are good for any kind of FRQ. There was a sample the other day from the College Board. It just showed you a map with some shaded in areas. Like if you could guess that it was, Dar-al-Islam or the Abbasid Empire or something, just by looking at it, that can help you out. So please pay attention to the maps. Okay, I got 4 takeaways for you. Because of their roles, Mamluks had more opportunities for advancement than did most enslaved people. Usually slavery and upward mobility or advancement didn't really go hand in hand. In Egypt, Mamluks seized control of the government, establishing the Mamluk Sultanate from 1250 to 1517. They prospered by facilitating trade in cotton and sugar between the Islamic world and Europe, right? Trade, money talks. However, when the Portuguese and other Europeans developed new sea routes for trade, the Mamluks declined in power. We'll be talking a lot more about the Portuguese too. Subtopic B, Seljuk Turks. Big idea. Another challenge to the Abbasids came from the Central Asian Seljuk Turks, who were also Muslims. Again, please check out the map, Seljuk Turks. I got 2 takeaways for you. Starting in the 11th century, they began conquering parts of the Middle East, eventually extending their power almost as far east as Western China. The Seljuk leader called himself Sultan, hereby reducing the role of the highest-ranking Abbasid from caliph to chief, Sunni religious authority. Subtopic C, Crusaders. The Abbasids allowed Christians to travel easily to and from their holy sites in and around Jerusalem. However, the Seljuk Turks limited this travel. I got one takeaway. European Christians organized groups of soldiers called Crusaders to reopen access. Now, because we're focusing on Dar-al-Islam in this topic, we're kind of just blowing over the Crusaders here, but we're going to be talking about them a lot more later on. Here's another huge topic we'll be talking about more later on, but right now we're just kind of showing how it's relevant. The big idea for subtopic D, Mongols. The fourth group to attack the Abbasid Empire were among the most famous conquerors in history, the Mongols. I got two takeaways for you. The Mongols conquered the remaining Abbasid Empire in 1258 and ended the Seljuk rule. They continued to push westward, but were stopped in Egypt by the Mamluks. Subtopic E, economic competition. Since the 8th century, the Abbasids had been an important link connecting Asia, Europe, and North Africa. Goods and ideas flowed from one region to another on trade routes controlled by the Abbasids. Check out the map. You'll see where the Abbasids rule here in the purple, and you'll see the trade routes, right? Make sure you know the difference. Developments in Dar-al-Islam, and that's a good possible FRQ picture there, right? You see a round city. What do you think of, right? You should think of Baghdad. Many trade routes went through Baghdad. However, trade patterns slowly shifted to routes further north. As Baghdad lost its traditional place at the center of trade, it lost wealth and population. The big idea for topic number 2, cultural and social life. Over time, the Islamic world fragmented politically. Many of these new states adopted Abbasid practices, but they were distinct ethnically. The Abbasid Caliphate was led by Arabs and Persians, but the later Islamic states were shaped by Turkic peoples who descended from people in Central Asia. If you looked at a current map, where's Persia? You won't see it, right? Modern day Iran. Okay, cultural continuities. Islamic scholars followed the advice of the Prophet Muhammad. Go in quest of knowledge even into China by learning from many cultures. They carried on the work of earlier thinkers. This is kind of a smart move, right? Learning from others as well. I got 3 takeaways for you. Islamic scholars translated Greek literary classics into Arabic, saving the works of Aristotle and other Greek thinkers from oblivion. They studied mathematics texts from India and transferred the knowledge to Europeans. They adopted techniques for paper making from China. Through them, Europeans learned to make paper. Bless you. Subtopic B, cultural innovations. What's the big idea? In addition to building on the intellectual achievements of other cultures, scholars during the Golden Age in Baghdad made their own achievements. Nasr al-Din al-Tusi was one of the most celebrated Islamic scholars. He contributed to astronomy, law, logic, ethics, mathematics, philosophy, and medicine. Let me see. Ibn Khaldun was well known for his historical accounts and is widely acknowledged as a founder of the fields of historiography, the study of the methods of historians, and sociology. Okay, I got 6 takeaways for you on this topic. Sufi poet and mystic Aisha el-Bayunia, I'm sure I mispronounced that, may be the most prolific female Muslim writer before the 20th century. Her poetry reflects a contrast between most Muslims and Sufis. Unlike Muslims who focused on intellectual pursuits such as the study of the Quran, Sufis emphasized introspection to grasp truths that they believed could not be understood through learning. Sufi missionaries played an important role in the spread of Islam. They tended to adapt to local cultures and traditions, sometimes interweaving local religious elements into Islam, and in this way, they won many converts. Commerce, class, and diversity. What's the big idea? Helping to power the golden age of natural and moral philosophy and the arts was commerce. Islamic society viewed merchants as more prestigious than did other societies in Europe and Asia at the time. Muhammad himself had been a merchant, as had his first wife. So if you remember in topic 1.1, we said, the Chinese kind of had merchants on a lower run, not much respect. They didn't really create anything. Different story here, right? So again, we're talking about how these cultures were similar and different. You know, these interchanges between different cultures is something we're focusing on. We're not just trying to memorize, you know, facts and dates so much. So what were some of the similarities and differences, right? Okay, another good map. Please check out the map. Got one takeaway for you on this topic. With the revival of trade on Silk Roads, which we're going to be talking about more later, merchants could grow rich from their dealings across the Indian Ocean and Central Asia. Okay, slavery. Although Islam allowed slavery, Muslims could not enslave other Muslims. Also exempt from slavery were Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians. Slaves were often imported from Africa, Kiev and Rus in Central Asia, but the institution of heredity, slavery had not developed. So it's not, you know, it's a little different. We may think there were some rules, right? Okay. While the Umayyad ruled only briefly in the Middle East, they kept power longer in Spain. In 711, after Muslim forces had defeated Byzantine armies across North Africa, they successfully invaded Spain from the south, as you can see on this map, another good map. They designated Cordoba as their capital. Here's Cordoba right there. So again, if you had some type of FRQ, and it wasn't labeled, there's no printing here, right? Just by looking at this, right? That's why if you look at the map, you could identify and it can help you finish that DBQ, SAQ, LEQ, whatever you're doing. Okay, I got 3 takeaways for you. Like the Abbasids in Baghdad, the Umayyad rulers in Cordoba created a climate of toleration with Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisting peacefully. The Islamic State in Spain, known as Al-Andalus, became a center of learning. And this is a good thing to remember. Muslims would rule Spain for 700 years. And that's topic 1.2. Can you answer that?